What is going on, everybody? This is Spearhead Podcast here, and today I am bringing you three wonderful, amazing guests. First off, I am going to start with Mr. Joey. Say hi. Don't be silent.
So you start to say wonderful, but then you just ruthlessly downgrade us to amazing. How dare you? I'm leaving and I'm reporting your channel under multiple YouTube crap.
Okay, have fun with that. Second,
Sure will.
second, I have Mr. Reagan here, also known as Regbotics on YouTube, RT Smith Sports on YouTube, coming out of Arizona State University. Say hi, Reagan. Okay.
No.
And third and last but not least, the big boy. I have the man, the myth, the legend, the semi-alive, coming straight back from the dead, the Alex, he also known as N2 Beaglehorns.
I am very uncomfortable with being called the big boy.
Yeah, me too. That kind of made me a little uncomfortable, not gonna lie.
That's okay. So, just a little background with us at least. All have been pretty good friends for a very long time at this point. At least, I don't know, 4 or 5 years at this point. Well,
Dear God, I'm getting old.
yeah, you are.
Wait, who said we were friends?
True. We may have a fourth coming with us soon. Not sure. It depends on if he comes back alive from what he's doing right now.
He's in war right now.
Yeah. So,
Also known as grocery shopping.
true.
It's
Same
one
thing.
the same. I was let's say this day and age it's the same.
Yeah. So, today our recording is going to be based off of the main topic is going to be the new NHL playoff format, the play-in of what was just introduced a couple days ago by Gary Bettman. And also, before we hop into discussing of the main topic, our main topic that we're going to talk about is going to be the Henderson Silver Knights just announced last night. So, the logo is
Big
now
fan.
popping up on the screen. What are our thoughts, guys?
I'm gonna be the biggest fan since day one, and there's gonna be no one who can stop me from being it. It's funny that
Corona
Silver
can.
Knights... Well, you're right.
Don't even
Yep.
try to challenge it, my friend.
Just a quick comment, but during the time of this recording, most of us are still stuck in quarantine, so
Heck yeah.
I can go to a restaurant if I want to.
my state's opening up in like 2 days, so
I mean, technically I could too, but there'd just be no one in there.
My state's open, but it's New Hampshire, so there really
well,
isn't
yeah, that
much.
you don't have anything there even when you're out of quarantine.
Yeah. We lost our
Nothing
hockey team,
changed.
so we don't have much left.
hmm
All right, so
Yeah, no.
all of us, we've discussed this over our chats ever since this has been put in there. The logo, it's interesting, to say the least.
Not my favorite.
I really dig it.
So
It's like there are aspects of it where I really like that it pulls in like the same shields shape. That's a tongue twister of the Golden Knights. I really like that. I like the inclusion of the like floral pattern on the outside, like on the crest.
Yeah.
And I like everything up until you get to like where the ears at the top of the logo meet the top of the horse head. It's
Yeah.
something about that area where the perspective just doesn't work for me because the ears feel like they're facing almost a little too forward. But then like that I forget what you'd call it coming out of the top of the horse head is so flat in the design of it that it feels like it's further back. And so the ears almost feel like they should be facing directly towards us.
Yeah, just my real question is, where in the world are they getting a horse out of this?
Oh, because the knight needs his horse.
That's true.
I've just been staring at this logo for a bit, and I'm not sure you guys probably have realized this, but I'm just realizing it now. But like the horse nose in the middle, it's in the shape of an H.
We talked about this in the chat. Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
the
I don't have the
first thing
highest
mentioned when
IQ.
the logo came out.
you're going to be blown away when you find out that the Golden Knights logo has a V in it as well.
It does?
Did you know the
Oh my
Hershey Bears
God.
logo has an H in it?
Oh my God.
Jeez. Just
Oh,
blew
wait,
right
no,
over my head.
Let's figure this out. Did
So-
you know that the Bruins logo has a B in the middle of it?
No.
There we go.
No.
Did you know that
nice try.
Did you know
Trick
that
question.
Did you know that the Flames logo has a C in it?
One's hidden pretty well, you know.
Did you know that the Avalanche logo has a C in it as well?
It
It
does.
sure does.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that the Devils logo has a V in it? Mm-hmm. Sure does. Because like Devils, then they just put like the V right there.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Most important part of the name.
Did you know the Hershey Bears have a bear in their logo?
Did you know that they
No.
also have Hershey in it?
No, that's a picture of my mother, actually.
Dang.
Honestly,
Alright.
though, if we're talking about AHL logos in the Henderson Golden Knights,
Golden
think-
Knights?
sorry, Henderson Silver Knights, that's going to happen a lot, I think.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say is that I think their logo fits in with the rest of the AHL, and especially with the teams that have definitely gone the more modern route, like the Hershey Bears. Because we've seen a real stark drop in like newer logos getting released for AHL and minor league hockey, where it's the same, like, we all know what every early 2000s team logo looked like. It was an angry animal
Yeah.
with its teeth showing.
The Rockford Ice
We've
Hogs.
kind of seen people move away from that into more of like, look at like the Cleveland Monsters have always had that just monster lurking. It's stuff like that where I think we're seeing teams go with their design trends to be a little bit more like,
Minimalistic.
it's almost more trendy and more something that I think people would want to wear outside of a sports game.
Yeah.
And especially for minor league hockey, merchandising is such a big portion of your revenue that I
Yeah.
think that matters to them.
Yeah. When it comes to the Silver Knights, the color scheme, the color scheme is pretty nice. I remember, I believe it was Alex talking last night when they revealed it in the chat about the idea of bringing in like a navy blue.
Yeah, Reagan you had mentioned like having a blue accent on the jersey. I
Yeah.
think it'd be great if they just straight up. Obviously, you can't do it now, and I get why they didn't go with it. But if you took, instead of having the black in the logo, if you made that a very, very deep, almost like purpley navy blue, I think that would have really made the jerseys pop and stand out as their own while still looking a lot similar to the Vegas Golden Knights. And I think that would have
Yeah.
really popped out the silver and the gold a bit more from the logo and made it a little bit more of a unique palette and one that isn't as much seen in minor league hockey. Because to me, when I look at this, I think of the Newfoundland Growlers and not as much Vegas right now.
Yeah, I agree with that because I was kind of surprised that they went basically with the same color scheme as the Golden Knights themselves, obviously with a flip on the emphasis with silver.
Yeah.
But now I'd say where I kind of differed with Alex was the idea of going with blue instead of the gold, because to me, Silver Knights obviously has the play on the word night. And what fits better than a night sky in a freaking desert than the black, the gray, and a really dark blue?
I'd love
That's where
actually if the gold eyes were like a bright, almost like electric blue.
Yeah.
That could look cool if you just wanted to replace one color in the logo.
Yeah, because just the way they incorporated the gold into the logo, I'm not a huge fan of.
It's just you would never know that gold was their color unless you really looked at the eyes, and obviously the gold that they use is so muted that it's very hard to even notice.
The gold that they use isn't as vibrant as what the Golden Knights used.
Yeah, it's a bit darker.
Well, it's also they do both the Vegas Golden Knights and now Henderson are doing this. They have a texture that they put over a lot of their colors and gradients.
Yeah, I see
And
that.
so you really can't tell like what the exact color is because you're looking at it through a texture. And so there's going to be shadows, there's going to be highlights. And so when I see a flat version of this come out, I think that will be where I'm like, okay, does this color scheme work really well?
Yeah, and you can
also, like if you see a thing with those colored eyes, like someone needs to see an eye doctor. Like,
yeah,
like I can't think of a single creature with like It's to me like I mean I might just be colorblind secretly, but like it looks like more of like a throw up color. Like is that just me?
I think once you see the word font logo, because the word font has like the spurs on it that are
Yeah.
gold, like the standard Vegas logo, you'll see that they're the same. But yeah, no, I agree. The eyes just kind of are off
Yeah,
in the
but
coloring.
I think it's also going to end up seeing how it's going to come down to looking on the jersey because at least when it comes to the Vegas jersey, the gold in the logo and the gold and the logo and also all throughout the jersey are hugely different. But I mean, like I like what Vegas did. Like I'm looking at my Vegas jersey right now. I love what Vegas did to their jerseys, especially when it comes to the difference of they didn't have the accents in the main logo, but they are on the jersey. Where with Henderson, the
Yes.
accents are on the logo.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see if they keep, because like when you talk about the Vegas, those jersey details, like the little like floral pattern on the outside,
Yeah.
that is just embroidery, like extra embroidery. Whereas in the Henderson logo, it's a different color in all of the mock-ups of it, and it matches the gray that's on there. So I wonder if on the Henderson jersey, if it will still be that very subtle embroidery like Vegas, or if it will actually be embroidered in a separate color and
Yeah.
stand out more.
Cause like in the Vegas jersey, I love how they've put the floral pattern in the gold on the sleeves. But at
Yeah,
least looking at mine in real life right now, the floral pattern is very hard to see unless you're looking at the jersey at an angle. I wonder if they're gonna try to work with something with Henderson to, if they do decide to follow that route and kind of have a similar concept of making it easier to see, kind of, because most of the times you can just look at the Vegas jersey and all you see is the gold strip, but you don't realize that the floral pattern's in there.
yeah. I think it'll also be interesting to see what they do jersey wise if they do the AHL trend of just mimicking your NHL team, which I
Yeah.
really hope they don't because I think
But at the
with a
same
more
time,
traditional
if you
striping pattern, this could look with this color scheme. I think it could look great.
yeah, but like still at the same time, I mean, if you mocked the Vegas design, just all of it was silver, that would actually look pretty cool.
I just think
Yeah,
they should stand out a bit more than that,
I,
especially when
I
you
have
have
a
a
feel.
different color palette.
but the real question is like the random red stripe that's in the Vegas jersey, what would that be for Henderson if they were to mock it?
Please. I bet it's gold. I feel like gold's their third color is what it seems so far from their color palette.
Well,
That
yeah.
it's silver, then black, then gold, and with Vegas it's gold, black, red. And so I
Well,
wouldn't
yeah,
be
cause
surprised to see that as the gold stripe rather than a red stripe.
well, yeah, cause in my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. The inspiration from the Vegas jerseys came from, I believe, their owner or president, because of military, with something with military.
Yeah, it was Bill Foley went to, I forget what military academy it was, but they were the Black Knights, and he really liked the idea behind
West
knight
Point.
imagery. And
Army.
yeah, West Point. Sorry, been a long quarantine.
It's okay. It's an easy one to forget.
Yeah, it's just the biggest one. Um, but yeah, so he really liked the idea of like when you talk about a team, referring to them as a military, referring to them as knights, and like having that one goal. And so he wanted them to be the Black Knights. That didn't work out for them. They wanted to be the Knights. That didn't work out for copyright reasons. They chose the Golden Knights. They had copyright issues at one point. Then they're fine though.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, like looking back at it, like Golden Knights flows super well, and for whatever reason, I feel like now more than ever, it really does capture the idea of Vegas as a whole because they've tried
Mm-hmm.
so hard to stay away from the gambling mantra. But yeah, if you've ever been to Vegas and you see Vegas from afar, it's just a super bright golden glow, and so it really does kind of fit the idea of Vegas as a whole and its gilded
Yeah.
city.
Which
Yeah,
which I believe that's what it kind of came down to when it came down to the Silver Knights because Henderson is kind of known as like the baby Vegas, and so maybe it kind of helped make sense that they were named the Silver Knights because well you're just basically naming off like here's our second team kind of because second is silver obviously.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
ECHL changes to the Bronze Knights.
Yep,
Vegas
Vegas
didn't
gets an
have an
ECHL team and it's Bronze Knights. There we go.
because they were affiliated with the Fort Wayne Comets, I think, for a bit, but I don't remember if they actually have any ECHL affiliation last season.
I'll look it up.
It's just I wonder if anything from, because this is obviously the former San Antonio Rampage. I wonder if there was anything that just came out of the Rampage that kind of helped inspire this.
I don't think there'll be much as far as the Rampage, because when you look at what Bill Foley has kind of said about this team, is they really refer to it as just they bought a team and they're just going to ignore that that team was ever somewhere else. And so I think they really wanted to start fresh and have a new, like, this isn't just a continuation of a team. Because I think realistically, the Rampage name, the Henderson Rampage, would have been a great name for a team. If you read
Oh,
the
yeah.
logos a bit, it would have been great. But I think they wanted to distance themselves from that.
Yeah, and to comment on the ECHL thing, they were affiliated with the Quad City Mallards, then they folded, and then they're currently with the Fort Wayne Comet.
Oh, they still are. That's good.
I just feel bad for St. Louis. Vegas has taken their affiliate from the AHL twice in the whole 2 years of their own existence.
They're coming for Springfield.
Yep.
That's
Next
gonna be
ye-
interesting.
Next
In
year
Bruins country.
next year the Silver Knights are going back to St. Louis, and then Vegas is taking Springfield. There we
It's
go.
interesting. It's interesting
Springfield would be interesting.
how much Henderson's gotten a lot of attention, though. Like, everyone's kind of ignored the fact that the Checkers are packing up shop and leaving Carolina as well.
Or
Yeah,
I think
what
the
was
Checkers
that
are
all
gonna get in
about?
Philly still.
Yeah, they are.
But it's just strange that Carolina just decided no. They had one season of having a full. Their ECHL team was in Greenville, AHL in Charlotte, NHL in Carolina. They had that for one season. It feels so strange.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna move you. Where it's Chicago, right? Is that where they're popping it to?
I think so.
Really?
It's like, why? And as we say, that's what's so nice about having your AHL affiliate right beside you. Is someone gets injured, it's a
If I'm being completely
30-minute
honest,
plane ride,
if I'm being,
few-hour bus ride. But
if I'm being completely honest, I haven't been hearing too much about this Charlotte thing, so I'm gonna have to look at this.
It definitely got buried because it was all of it started happening right at the beginning of the whole everything
COVID.
going crazy in the world.
yeah,
But yeah, it's weird to think that, like, especially if you're Charlotte,
and
what do
Charlotte
you
just
do, like, from your branding standpoint at this point?
and
Yeah.
they just won an ECHL championship.
Or no, they won. Yeah, they won the Calder Cup.
yeah, they
beating
won it.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Now they're packing
No,
up shop and flying out.
And also, you think like the Hurricanes, they want to like establish their fan base there, and having like the Checkers, because Carolina, there's Raleigh Durham, and then there's Charlotte. You want that Charlotte fan base to be Hurricane fans,
Yes.
and like
Yeah.
that kind of takes a lot away from it if like you think
Absolutely.
about it.
Well, and you have the damn stadium series there next year. That's a perfect opportunity to try something new and bring your AHL affiliates over potentially for a game.
Exact.
You're in such close proximity where you could have
Yeah.
the Charlotte Checkers play an outdoor game and get national attention at an AHL level, which you rarely see.
I mean, when
Kevin wants to join.
Kevin wants to join, that means we bring him in. All right, I'm just gonna text him yes.
I think the only affiliate left for Florida would be, or for Carolina, or I can't speak today. I think the only affiliate left would be Charlotte, would be the Florida Panthers. Which, I mean, like, as far as getting left with only one person at the dance, not a horrible option. But
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Florida is well known for just cycling through affiliates pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And they like them in the Northeast as well for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And while we're right here, I'm just gonna introduce you guys real quick to our fourth guest, Kevin, also known as, what was it, KS Goalhorns?
Yes, sir.
Well, Kevin's here. Say hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. You should have heard my intro for
It's a
Alex.
pleasure.
I called him the big boy.
Well,
I am
you're
still
not wrong on
uncomfortable
that.
with
We all call Alex Daddy.
That's true.
Wow.
Not me.
I am really uncomfortable with the energy we've created today.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
But all right, so back to the talk. Basically, as far as what I heard it, when there was a team that was going to be bought from the AHL for Vegas, I heard that Rockford was one of the possible contenders, and that got me worried for a second because like okay, I'm from Rockford and I did not want to lose hockey. I'm being honest.
I didn't want Manchester to lose.
Well, no
Yeah,
one cared about the Monarchs.
I did.
Wow.
They had a whole
The
attendance
who?
of 50 every game.
22,
Hey,
you fucking idiot.
They were they were ahead of their time in terms of social distancing and not having fans at the game.
Exactly.
They
We
were
were
just a year
preparing
ahead
for
of their
this.
time.
They were the guinea pigs.
They were the
We were just laughing at all you fools, like filling your arenas. Like, buddy, just wait for 2020, my
No
friend.
one's getting sick of the Monarchs game, especially now.
You'll be thanking us.
Rip the Monarchs. But Rockford was one of the teams that was up for consideration, and I honestly kind of would have predicted what possibly would have happened if Rockford was bought. I was predicting that Rockford would have been moved to Henderson, and then Chicago would become the new affiliate for the Blackhawks, and then who did it was the so the Wolves would go over to who I can't remember anymore. It wasn't. I think it'd be the Blues.
It's
That
one
would
of
make
those
sense.
things where people always will like talk about the Chicago Wolves being affiliated with the Blackhawks at some point.
hmm
Until there's new ownership with the Wolves, I don't think that's going to ever happen because there has been so much like the Wolves as an organization, they run that team like it is their own team. There's not an affiliation, and that's what really pissed off teams like the Blues and the Golden Knights is that they didn't like that basically Chicago ran their team like it wasn't affiliated with anyone.
Yeah, I mean,
And so
even if the Wolves do end up in a new ownership, I don't think it'll end up happening unless it's way further down the road.
yeah, I think Rockford is in a situation though where they have to, from their ownership standpoint, I think they have to look at finding something more stable because their front office turnover is surprisingly high for an AHL team. They're always on teamwork online. Um, and it's very hard for them to have a consistent fan base without having that structured front office who knows who they're talking to and trying to sell to
Well, yeah,
and
because
building up
like
that.
I went to a ton of Rockford games this year, and I mean, there w- there was some games that the stadium was packed, but there were also like weekend night games. I mean, I remember the game I went to against Chicago where I actually had my experience with the multimedia manager there. It was a pretty packed stadium, and I mean, um, the energy got hyped
Yeah.
because Rockford made a huge comeback from being down like 3-0 to then 3-1, then also like 4-1, then 4-2. So they made because they were at least down 4-2 at the end of the second period after being down by 3 a couple times, but then won the game 7-4. I mean,
Classic.
they made their whole entire comeback in the third period. I mean, that was an
Yeah, that's
insane
AHL
game to
hockey
be
there.
in. I mean,
Pulled the good old 7 goals in the third period trick. Works every time.
yeah, they scored five
Call it the
unanswered
Maple
with
Leaf.
they scored five unanswered with a I can't remember if it was Tyler or Dylan secure a hat trick. I think it was
Former
Dylan.
Northeastern Husky.
I
Former
think
Husky and former Monarch.
I I think it was I'm not 100% positive. I think it was Dylan. Um, whoever their captain is now, it was him. I think that's Dylan. Um,
Shocking how many games you can win when you score 7 goals in a period.
no, they scored
Yeah.
five. They scored
Oh,
two. In the,
5.
they scored
only
two.
5. They must have gotten destroyed.
They scored two and they scored two in the second period, but then went five unanswered in the third. Um, so
I
I
I
mean,
have to say though,
what do you guys say? Did you?
Rockford has the coolest goal song in the AH.
Yeah, I bet. I do like
Boom,
their
shake,
horn.
shake, shake the room.
I do love their horn though. I mean, it was kind of cool to be able to use that in game once, a couple times actually. I used it twice. Um, but I mean, I think that weekend, at least for the games I was at, was like the most energetic because the previous night they also played the Iowa Wild and turned into a 2-1 overtime win. So like that was a really hypeful weekend. But like you said, like I think the most packed I ever saw that stadium was when because we have our local news station here, WIFR, that that does a night every
Instrument
single
flight
year.
rules.
They have a night every year where they literally buy every single ticket in the stadium, and I think obviously that's going to be the most packed because tickets are free.
Yeah.
And other than that, I mean, I think the only other times I saw that stadium even semi-packed or close to well, not even close to full capacity actually, was during the Chicago games because the rivalry between Rockford and Chicago is just huge.
Yeah, I think the AHL as a whole is in an interesting spot where they've kind of always had this weird relationship where like they're almost their own league, but they're still affiliated. But I think now we're seeing it become I I think it's been very much between like the baseball model of minor league and the basketball model of minor league for a while. And I think we're seeing a shift in the AHL towards more of the basketball. Like these are very directly affiliated. We want them close proximity. We want these players to be all of our players on this team.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah,
want our branding. We want our influence on this.
Well,
Whereas
yeah,
before it was very much like oh, we'll just send you some players and you guys do your own thing.
Well, yeah, that was one of the good things when it came to like that's one of the good things with the Rockford and Blackhawks one was there was a couple instances this year where a player got hurt like during practice. Oh, I'll call you up and then they're going to be at the practice the same day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like what the NBA did this year, been pretty vested in basketball recently. So I'm sure you guys have all heard about the new G League team, and like it's just like a bunch, instead of going to college, you play in the G League for a few years, and they compete. That's what the NHL that could make the AHL more interesting if they take like the development team, and like
Well,
they
what
pull some guys together and they have them play in the AHL for a little bit.
See, I
and I
doubt that will
I
happen though with the junior
yeah.
hockey system.
Yeah, like
Well,
OHL
Oh
and
yeah,
all
fair
those.
enough.
not even see. I think it's changing even from that landscape. We're seeing less and less people going to the junior hockey league systems and going to
College hockey,
college
yeah.
instead. Yeah, I was about to say the amount of skill in college hockey just within the last 7 years
Oh
is
yeah.
Yeah, cuz like
astronomically exploded because more people are finding the worth in going to college.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
'cause go back to the year that Patrick Kane was drafted. He was drafted out of the OHL from London, but now most of our higher up picks are coming out of college.
Yeah, and when you look at it, it kind of, at least from me being someone who works closely in college athletics,
Woo.
like a lot of our players are doing fast track degrees as well as playing
Yep.
athletics. Like I'm in a program where I'm getting an accelerated degree. I know a lot of student athletes who are in that because they're like, you know what? I'll play here 3 years, get an undergraduate degree, and then I'll go to the show, and then I'll still have a fallback in case things fall through. And I think it's a really smart opportunity for them that we didn't really see people take before.
Yeah.
Exactly. And one thing I think college teaches them is college atmospheres are a lot different than junior because you got like the whole student section there, and I think it really teaches them how to play in like a intense atmosphere and kind of heated games with, because I'm not sure how big the rivalries are in junior hockey. I don't think they're too big, but like, the Quinnipiac Yales or the BC's
Yeah.
BU, like you see that, and it teaches them how to like play in one of those intense environments and intense rivalries.
Yeah,
I
like when
also
we have the Yale game, our
Yeah,
student section was
exactly.
full. It was full 2 hours before game time this year. Our student section was completely
Mhm.
full, and they stayed there, and they were just, it's rambunctious, it's loud, and the pressure is on in the Yale game
Yeah.
because we've won it so many times in a row now, and it has so much
And I
meaning
think,
being the hero of that
and I honestly think
you
that
got to
probably
play
has
like that.
a big deal to do with how like some of these top guys are coming out of college now because they learn how to handle those situations.
Yeah, it's
not
one of the times that you're going to see the pressure is actually on.
And I also feel like it's going to sound like I'm going against you, but I'm not here. But I also feel like college allows players, I guess, to still kind of be kids in a lot of regards, but also not have that pressure of being in an OHL or any junior league system to where it's so professional all of the time. You're an actual professional in
Yeah.
those leagues. College allows you to still have that. Listen, I'm still learning. Like, there's not this incredible back pressure on me to perform to be the best of the best. Obviously, there's still pressure because you still want to be in the show, but at the same point, you're not adding this type of you're already a professional. There's this idea of you're still learning, which is the whole college experience, I think, in a lot of ways. And I think it
Yeah.
really helps because players can kind of settle into that. I feel a lot easier than being you're already a professional, deal with
And when
everything.
you're at the level of some of these guys coming into college and coming into junior, your entire life has basically been devoted to this sport for the most part. And you've lost a lot of those experiences that a lot of people a lot of people will miss their prom because they're playing a sport. Like stuff like that, you miss so many of those experiences that when you play college athletics over like a junior, you gain you get to have that college experience still, just in a slightly different form. And I think that's something that a lot of people are like, I want that social experience still.
Yeah. I mean, it is different experiences, and I mean, it could be a good thing. I mean, some of the NHL players have been coming out pretty spectacular, so
Sure have.
Yeah, like it's like Kale McCarr. I saw him play against Quinnipiac when he came to town with UMass the year that they made it
Saw him
to
playing Lowell.
Frozen Four. And
Jealous.
yeah, like we looked at him and you saw him skate on the ice, and it was somehow Quinnipiac won that game 4-0.
We,
But
we we swept them.
every
Just
time he
saying,
stepped on
swept
the
them.
ice, you looked at him and just went, "This guy is miles ahead of everyone else on this team."
Same thing with Jack Eichel when he was at BU.
Oh, Jack Eichel at BU was like, you saw him come onto the ice and you're like, he should be playing in the NHL 2 years ago. He looked
Yeah.
incredible.
I mean, go back to Rockford. I mean, one of the things that Rockford struggles with is they just can't maintain a system, honestly, because most of the times they just end up calling their AHL players up, so then the AHL team struggles. I mean, they struggle with that, honestly.
Yeah, every AHL team does. It's just kind of like how the system is like that's the thing about minor league hockey and like trying to establish something that I'm sure makes it hard for like the marketing team is like the top players, the players you want to market, they probably won't be there for long.
Yeah.
So
All right.
like with like college, it like gives them that like you have to play the rest of the year kind of thing, unless you're like a Chukarov and just sign with the Worcester Railers halfway through the year.
Yeah, you're guaranteed that full season generally.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, with all that being said, we have talked quite a lot. We're going to move on to the main topic of the recording, the 2020 NHL playoffs with the play-in. So, I just put on the screen, we have a potential of how many? Let's see, about 10 hub cities for the playoffs to be happening in, and I believe only 2 of them are going to be picked. I'm just going to kind of go from the top of the list, talk about our concerns with them and everything, how we think, what we feel about them, and just go on from there. So, the first one, Chicago. Me personally, awful idea to even think about going to Chicago because Chicago has been one of the hot spots for Corona and COVID. So, I don't
I
think that's gonna work.
also just think I don't think the infrastructure is there in Chicago with the hotels.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they have a lot of, at least from what I remember of United Center, there's not a lot of hotels right around that arena.
No, there's not.
Whereas when you look at like a Vegas and other options, there are hotels surrounding
Yeah.
that building.
Well, yeah, because like my one time that I've been to, well, my 2 times I've been to Blackhawks games is United Center is just kind of like located like straight in the dead middle of Chicago. So but it's also like also semi suburbs and everything. Like if that makes any sense. So there
Mhm.
isn't really buildings around it, but at the same time you're still in the dead middle of the city.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, and like you look at like what the NBA is doing right now is they're having it Disney World's the idea that's perfect. They have the hotels and stuff. So if the NHL can find something like that, like Vegas, for example,
Yeah.
like I think Vegas is a kind of a perfect.
Yeah.
Vegas is the
Iowa.
non-centralized version of Disney World almost,
Mhm.
whereas Disney World, every single thing on that property, including the fire stations, are run by one company that you can go to. They don't have
Yep.
an ice rink, so the NHL can't make that work.
Mhm.
Vegas, on
And plus
other
the
hand,
NBA's there.
yeah. But
Yeah.
Vegas has the same infrastructure of we have a ton of hotels, we can bring in so many tourists, but obviously it's not happening right now. So
Mhm.
let's find other ways to make some money.
Yeah. I mean,
I think,
I think
if I'm
Vegas
not
is
mistaken,
reopening.
Yeah, the casinos I think reopened June 6th.
But it's not going to be the same level
No.
as what we expect
No.
Vegas
No.
to be.
Yeah, I don't think June 6th everyone's rushing out the door to hit the strip. Like,
Because you're also, I don't think residency shows are going to be starting back up too soon on those. Like, I think the Vegas experience won't be the same. So I think it's just going to be, I think the hotel capacity and all that stuff will still be about the same as what the NHL wants.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Where do you guys think the East is gonna pick?
I mean,
Um,
the next city under Chicago was Columbus.
Yep.
Let's see.
I think Columbus makes sense from it's pretty suburban. It's not a heavy city as far as NHL ones go. The biggest concern is, do you have housing? Do you have
Well-
enough hotels and infrastructure there?
Yeah.
Columbus has a shit. States,
College,
Value City. Well, good question. I don't know what Ohio State would do as long as you said there weren't games on the weekends. I think you can structure a schedule pretty easily with that. But you also have Nationwide Arena during the weekends if need be. The fact that you have those two beautiful spots, really, because it's a pretty nice city. It's a perfect spot in terms of hockey infrastructure. But you're right, with being more suburbia, do they have the places to where they have decent hotels to host everybody?
Because I mean, realistically, if this was starting like now or like a month ago, I think Columbus would be a great option because you could actually get housing off of Ohio
Mhm.
State.
Yeah, I was about to mention that.
But since it's gonna start in like early August, yeah, and that's probably when Ohio State is gonna be going back because pretty sure a lot of schools are gonna try and go back in August. So that really defeats the whole point.
Yeah.
Of staying in the dorms.
Next city, Dallas.
Nope.
I mean,
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
no.
think that would be a good one.
It's just my main concern when it comes to this is if there's a hub city that is the home of one of the teams, is there going to be some sort of edge of quote unquote home ice advantage?
I think you lose that without.
Yeah, without fans, it's really meaningless.
That's
It's
true.
not like baseball where each stadium has its own dimensions. It's every ice sheet is practically the same. The only difference could be quality and ice, but even that's not that big of an issue.
I would say the only major things you'd worry about is quality of ice and how the boards react. I know that's a big issue, especially in places like Vegas, to where the boards seemingly are springier. But other than that, there's really not too much that you'd really have much to complain about.
So none of us
But
agreed.
familiarity will help.
None of us have really agreed with Dallas. Edmonton.
It'd be great if it wasn't in Canada.
It'd be great if it wasn't in Canada. You heard it here first, folks.
Because you're not
2 weeks.
You're not gonna be able to get across that. I don't think the Canadian government's gonna loosen up any of the restrictions on it.
Yeah,
And you can't have one group of players being able to practice and another group of players having to sit for 2 weeks.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
Plus,
Yeah,
that could prolong the postseason even more.
After
Yeah,
Edmonton, go ahead.
I don't think that a bunch of that like the NHL can just like walk across the border and the Canadian government can just be like, oh, totally fine. Like
They said
yeah,
they made a statement saying they wouldn't let that happen.
yeah.
So I don't think they're going to go into Canada
yeah,
unless things change, unless the world changes. I
Yeah.
think it's just better off staying in the States.
After Edmonton came Vegas, which we've already talked about. We feel like would be a great place to go because they just have the housing, they have
it makes
everything
sense.
needed.
I mean, talk about a great hit for the NHL is everything that's happened with Vegas has come up aces for them, unintended.
And they have a killer practice arena. That place is
that place looks sick.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Been in there a few times.
I've seen it, and oh my god,
that would be just such a cool place to watch watch an NHL game on TV. like just seeing that like the Vegas's practice rink in the background while like watching the Penguins and Habs, like that would be pretty
With
cool.
all the
And-
fortresses.
and-
Wait, no, Western Conference, Joey, nice one.
It
I
has,
do
it has this ability to do it. That's for sure.
I do have a question for you guys. Since the finals would most likely be in September? Probably later. Do you think if somehow the world changes and they start allowing sporting events with like 40% capacity, do you think that there will be like home teams playing at their home stadiums for the finals?
I don't think so with this. If they start the playoffs in a situation where you can't have fans, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think
this
they
is
changed
playoffs.
that.
No.
Yeah, they've
then you
agreed to
have
that
travel.
already.
And your travel schedule, and you just it screws up TV deals and everything.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean,
How are they
Go ahead.
speaking?
Oh my. Go ahead.
Just go ahead.
Go ahead,
no, you
Reagan.
got it.
Go,
All right.
Reagan.
I was gonna say you're gonna go to your point first because mine kind of deviates. But speaking on that, like, how in God's name are they gonna do a TV deal with the playing games if they aren't technically considered part of the playoffs? That's what I've been dying to know.
I think any station,
Any sports.
like NBC is dying for any sports right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reagan.
It'd be a good time for ESPN to try out their hand since they've been rumored of trying to get the deal once NBC expires.
I just don't know if they can get that deal with NBC still having most of the rights.
Reagan, like ESPN's been airing Korean baseball. I think they'll take NHL hockey, like without a doubt.
I hope they take Japanese baseball.
They didn't like cover any NHL news when this news broke, and I don't know why.
Because they don't have the rights to it, so why promote a sport that you're not going to be able to make money off of?
I know, but still, like, at least it's something to talk about. I forget what they were talking about. It was a picture. Oh, they talked about a picture of LeBron James in a Browns jersey.
Yeah.
That's what Brian said he was watching.
ESPN.
Yeah.
What do you expect? It's ESPN.
It's ESPN.
Like, come on.
I mean, not my real question is how is this going to end up affecting future seasons? Is this gonna be the new normal of just starting super later, or are they gonna possibly shorten up next season just to try to get back on track?
I think they're gonna do an abbreviated season like the lockout.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I believe what the NBA is planning is they're gonna do this, and then they'll stop the season, and then they'll start the next one. I believe they said Christmas Day would be opening day.
Yeah.
For the NBA.
There's really no need to make this a new normal.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
Once the vaccine comes out, things will start to become regular again. So.
It's also for the NHL too. Like, they've done a shortened season with almost the exact same time frame, not even a decade ago. So they know how to handle this.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
So
next city after Vegas would be LA.
Nope.
LA is not.
Aren't they under lockdown until August?
Yeah, and also, I don't think California is gonna.
Staples Center is downtown LA.
Yeah.
I had some friends go out there. They were probably 5 minutes walking from the Staples Center. They lived out in LA for the last semester. Every single thing about that area is apartment buildings everywhere. It is businesses everywhere. It is a compacted area of LA, and it's not going to be an area you can have a safe hockey season.
Yeah.
You're probably going to end up competing with a lot of other Staples Center related events.
Yeah, probably. Next after LA would come Minneapolis or St. Paul, but right now with current events, Minneapolis is not even going to be close to an option.
That wouldn't be smart.
Also, at the same time of this recording, the controversy in Minneapolis going on right now with the whole Minneapolis police and George Floyd is happening, where Minneapolis is literally burning in the flames. So
even ignoring what's happening right now in Minneapolis, I just don't see it.
It wouldn't be smart,
being the area to go.
Even if the rioting is over by the time the training camp starts, I don't understand why they would choose Minneapolis.
So once Vegas came
over Vegas.
Yeah, once Vegas came into the picture, it kind of took Minnesota out because Minneapolis was probably my pick. Maybe Vancouver if they would have allowed people in, but like Minnesota was looking real good to be the Western host.
Yeah.
And then Vegas came in, and you're just well, there's really no argument.
And I understand why people say, "Oh, well, Minneapolis could be better," because it's like, I guess it's
the
more
state
centralized
of
hockey. with time zones, and that doesn't even matter because there's no fans there.
But like just with like all the rinks and like arena space available, pretty much. Like
right.
you walk around a block, there's an arena. Like,
well, once Vegas came into the picture, though,
would they be playing in strictly T-Mobile Arena? Like every team just plays their games at T-Mobile Arena, or would they use nearby rinks in Vegas?
They may use the Fortress.
I feel like
pretty far,
like for at least when it comes to the round robin and the best of 5 series, they might use both the Fortress and also the practice arena just to try to get it done a little quicker. But once it gets into the main stuff, like, you know, the actual playoffs, like first round, second round, conference finals, Stanley Cup finals, they're probably strictly going to use the Fortress just because, you know, it's just a better environment, quote unquote, even though there is no fans.
But you also have to consider that they have better ice production equipment and ice maintenance is better done at a large scale arena, not a practice.
But like maybe
another thing
go ahead,
Justin.
But maybe also do like, I don't know, 2 or 3 games a day. So one game you'll have in like the morning, one you'll have at night. That way you can just get more games in as little as time as possible.
That's why I got too quick for the time zone thing.
I got 2 quick points. One, I think it would be so sick if this was like one game after another. So like players of other teams would be sitting in the stands. That would be so sick. Like watching the games happen. Yeah, like junior hockey tournaments. That would be incredible. Second thing, when it comes to the finals, are they going to pick a new arena so no team has like that quote unquote advantage?
I think they're going to cross that bridge when they get to it.
Smart. Yeah. Which is why I'm saying
NHL is not too concerned right now. They want to see how it goes in the start.
Which is why I'm bringing up the fact again, by that time, if somehow the world has changed, why wouldn't, if they still don't have a plan for the finals, they could at least explore using the regular arenas with 30% or 40% capacity.
But you also have to consider, this is one thing that if you're bringing in a certain capacity, like if you're bringing in any fans to begin with, you have to hit a certain capacity, especially in like NHL arenas, which are smaller. You have to hit a certain capacity to actually make money back on how much you have to pay for there being fans there. Because if you don't have fans in the stadium, I hate saying this, your game production staff doesn't need to show up. You're not paying that. You're not paying for any of the concessions workers. You're not paying for their personal protective equipment. You're not paying for janitors.
I don't think they would sell concessions if it was still during the pandemic. I don't think that would kind of be safe for people to be lining up in lines.
But then they're losing a lot of revenue.
I know.
That's the high markup items there.
I don't know. I know. I remember some people were talking about. I think it was European soccer trying to have like 30% capacity in some of the stadiums. I think
when you look at the outdoor sports and stadiums that have bigger stadiums than this, like American football, if you had a 40% capacity, you're fine. You're bringing in revenue. I think when you're looking at at the biggest, I don't think you have enough.
Right.
You're not going to pull enough money to really offset the costs of having to bring in everything that goes with having fans.
Which sucks too, because I don't know, won't be as enjoyable, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I've literally started watching Korean baseball. I will take anything.
Yeah. Next city that came after Minneapolis was Pittsburgh.
I think that's my pick for the East.
That's my favorite for the East too.
Yeah, probably.
All right.
It's like rural enough, but it's also enough of a city where there is hotels, a lot of practice ice. Like it sits between that area.
It's a great arena.
Yeah. And then obviously our last two would have been Toronto and Vancouver,
Nope.
but luckily we've
Nope.
all talked about with everything going on um with the Canadian government and everything, just wouldn't work. All right. So when it comes down to the cities, we have. I'm just gonna start it off with the round robins. How do you think the round robins are gonna go? First, let's start with the East. I mean, well, actually, I guess we didn't really have to cut off hub cities yet. So I think we all came down to the agreement of the city for the West would be Vegas, and the city for the East would be Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with that.
Okay. All right.
I'm kind of surprised that Carolina in the East isn't on that list.
Yeah.
Because I thought they would have had some opportunities to actually.
They probably would have too, honestly.
And they have a vacant AHL arena.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
so
they've got options.
Yeah, I mean, while we're talking about that, do we think that there's any cities that possibly were missed?
Lawrence, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Maybe Phoenix.
Yeah.
I mean, Phoenix is still going up case numbers.
Because isn't Arizona a possible thought for a hub city for MLB?
Yeah, because of the spring training. Yeah. Well, the thing about Phoenix is there's literally a hotel attached to Gila River. That's where most teams tend to stay when they visit anyway.
Yeah.
It would be a perfect location.
Mm-hmm.
And it's away from the downtown metro.
Yeah, I was surprised at that one, especially being in Glendale, not downtown Phoenix.
Yep.
I'm not sure if this is possible, but they also have Talking Stick Resort Arena. If they could find a way to put a sheet of ice in there.
It's where they used to play.
I mean, there's an arena. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't worry about fan sight lines if they're not going to be fans there.
Yeah,
Our
exactly.
place would be perfect right now.
Yeah.
You also have where the Coyotes practice, which is a state-of-the-art practice facility. Anyways, it's on the opposite side of the city, but because it's where most of the players live. But it's a really, really nice facility.
I'm pretty sure Reagan is quite disappointed that his Denver, Colorado wasn't mentioned.
Honestly, it surprised me a little bit just because we're one of the first cities that states that peaked and have just been on that downward trend since. But at the same time, it's also Denver. So
yeah, and I mean, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't have much of a point I was trying to make.
I mean, and then when it comes down to all the other possible cities, all of them were basically hotspots for COVID, so they didn't work. Yeah. Like kind of Nashville and Philadelphia, San Jose.
New York City would have been perfect, but
oh my God, New York City.
I mean, the second they were going to be hub cities, I'm like, well, Boston ain't going to be one of them. There was the Manchester rumor for a while, which I was like, that'd be sick.
Yeah, I know, I heard.
But I don't know if we have the hotel space in Manchester.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Yeah,
they have like the One Tree Inn or Hill or whatever the hotel is, like right down the street from the arena.
Hey, we have that one hotel that overlooks the baseball stadium, and that's what matters.
Exactly.
All right.
You can hit dingers off of a hotel. Welcome to New Hampshire.
So moving on from that, we have the round robin. So for the East, your top four are the Boston Bruins, who are also your President's Trophy winner this year. Tampa Bay Lightning, the Washington Capitals, and the Philadelphia Flyers.
We should probably state who our favorite teams are, just so people know if we're being biased or not.
Oh yeah,
I think the Caps will be number 1, Bruins 2, Lightning 3, and Flyers 4. That's my prediction.
Most of these guys in here are Bruins fans, except for Reagan. He's an Avalanche fan.
Only 2 of us.
I'm
only
not.
2 of us.
Well, okay.
Yeah, only 2.
Yeah, we have 2 Bruins
fans. Just because they're on the East Coast, they're Bruins fans.
Yeah, we have 2.
The whole entire East Coast.
We have 2 Bruins fans, a Devils fan, a Blackhawks fan, and an Avalanche fan.
The Devils are gonna win it all. Just saying,
yeah,
like watch out. We're just gonna like sneak in.
Lottery.
Weird way to say Panthers.
Yeah, true. For what, 3rd time in like
4 years?
You guys are the new Oilers.
The Coyotes are going to win the draft lottery. They have Hall, so
yeah,
exactly.
That's true.
Exactly.
I wonder if he's going to be a free agent though.
Yeah, but will he be with a different team by the time the draft happens?
Who knows? We'll see what his curse does.
right.
Yeah, I will say I think the Capitals will come out of the round robin on top, mainly just because the Bruins
Cannot
always
beat them.
the Capitals horribly. Except for this season, they didn't do bad. But I think that's also because Braden Holtby did bad, and he's the real reason the Bruins suck against him. But I think the Flyers, I think it will go Capitals on the top, Bruins just below them. Then I think it'll be the Flyers and then the Lightning. I think the Flyers are a sneaky team that is going to
Oh
go
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Like I really
as long
hate to
as that
say it as a
momentum
Devils
that they
fan.
built up in the season continues, I think they could make it far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like as a Devils fan, I hate to admit it, but the Flyers are going to be good for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
Also,
they could do what New Jersey did and suck.
But
that's
that is what we like to do.
Remember when you guys were supposed to have a hell of a year?
We sure were, but we certainly didn't.
Damn.
I mean,
They started to pick up momentum towards the end of the year, though. So just saying, next year, you never know. Mackenzie Blackwood's a stud. So just saying.
Yeah, you finally have a goalie again.
Sure do.
Corey Schneider?
No.
Oh no.
He's in
Feel
the
bad for him,
AHL.
but the
Yeah.
injuries just
Yikes.
added up.
I mean,
Remember when he was on Vancouver?
what if Tampa
2011,
actually finally
baby.
does something in the playoffs this year?
Nah,
I think this Tampa team
they're not ready.
they're not as good as last year's.
Yeah,
I think
I was
Steve
about to
Eisenman
say.
had so much direction over that team, and without him, they look like the team is still definitely built by Steve Eisenman, but they're starting to lose that direction of like we need to replace these young guys, like
Yeah.
to replace guys who are going to ask for a big contract with young guys who are better than them and are just going to play for cheaper.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
like
think they can now.
I feel like if they were going to win the cup last year was their year to do it, and they
Oh my God, yeah.
they didn't.
Last year they were unstoppable last year, like especially with their defense.
And then they rolled into Columbus, Ohio, and they were proved stoppable.
Yeah.
John Tortorella made some money that day.
Yeah. All right. The Western Conference. Right now, you have your number one at the St. Louis Blues, the defending Cup champions. Number 2, you have the Colorado Avalanche. Number 3, you have the Vegas Golden Knights. And number 4, you have, surprisingly, who had a really good year this year, the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, that one.
Salad bars.
Dallas, I think, was one of the benefactors of the season stopping because they were starting to have the look of they weren't going to finish top 4. And now where the season stopped, they got really lucky. Dallas was one of those teams that, with how old they are, it shocked me how well they did. But you could tell that they were worn out by the time the season stopped.
Yeah. They looked tired in the last they looked like a team that they went 100% at the start of the year and have just run out of gas when the stoppage came. So I think they actually are benefiting a lot from this.
Me personally, I feel like Colorado will either sit at number 2 or jump to number 1 just with the young on their teams, such as, you have McKinnon and McCarr.
Youth was the vocabulary word you were looking for there.
You know what? I didn't do my English for like 3 months. It's fine. But, I mean, we have like a stud in Nathan McKinnon. You have a really good player in Landeskog. You have Cale Makar. I mean, all great players that I think will be able to help Colorado. Me personally, I think they're going to either sit at number 2 or give it a good run to jump to number 1.
Yeah, I like Colorado out of the West.
What's Reagan's feelings?
I would say maybe I was biased, but it felt like even with the injuries that they had, it seemed like the Avs were poised to finish top of the West. Just with the run that they were kind of going on at the end of the season, they were getting hot at a really good time. And I mean, who knows now? But at the end of the day, honestly, I don't think, assuming, well, I guess we'll talk about the playoff format in a minute, but assuming how it goes, I don't really think that the Avs would fall below Vegas or Dallas anyways in this round robin.
Yeah.
But it would have been interesting to see with the Blues how the season would have finished.
I mean, who's Colorado's goalie right now? Isn't it Grubauer?
It's Francouz currently.
Okay.
Grubauer was out
Okay.
when the season was put on hold. But
Yeah.
again, so was McKinnon and Rantanen.
Yeah.
Basically, the rest of our team.
Colorado is going to be a scary team, healthy.
I mean, it was good to see Vegas on where they came because, like, earlier in the season, they were looking at dead last in the Western Conference. And they jumped up to third.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. So now the real question is obviously these guys all of the hockey teams have been off for 2+ months already, and so how can they continue their momentum? Because if they can, Vegas might have a chance to drive to give it a fight, but I'm not sure if they're exactly gonna move up or down. But if they can get a drive and move. I feel like that if Colorado does end up jumping up to number 1, I feel like St. Louis might have a chance to drop down to number 3 and Vegas takes over number 2.
Yeah. Hey guys, I have some breaking news for y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Coyotes just announced that every game they're designated as the home team, they're going to be wearing their Kachinas for the playoffs.
Wow.
That's nice.
Well, I guess if I'm gonna watch any of their games, I'm wearing my Kachina jersey.
Right. I wonder if they're ever planning on making that move.
Possibly.
Well, I don't think they should, to be honest.
I don't think they should either, but it's interesting to see where they're going to cross, like where the line is going to be for them.
I wonder if they're ever gonna think about maybe like a modernized Kachina. Like something to fit with what they have.
Well, the Kachina logo they have is not that old, all things considered, because the Kachina has gone through some changes throughout the years.
And even the
wasn't it at one point just ahead?
The same.
Yeah, I would say, and even now the jersey's new in an old way.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of miss the running Coyote logo.
I do miss that.
Yeah,
I hated that
early
logo.
2010s.
I
love that logo.
But the logo was nice.
If they put it on the new like home or like the current home and aways, I wouldn't be mad. I like it better than the regular head.
Yeah, their old like black alternate with like the running coyote in the middle. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we talked about the top 4 and everything. So moving on to
this is gonna be my favorite part, the play-ins.
So
yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Series. So I'm just gonna basically again start from the east and then move on to the west. I'm just going to go up and down from what I'm at least seeing on the screen, which if you guys watch the animated version of the YouTube video, it's just a screenshot from there. The Pittsburgh versus Montreal series.
That's going to be interesting.
Awesome. I
hate to say it. I like the Habs in this.
Oh, a Bruins fan's actually saying something good.
Wow.
Yeah, they don't say many good things.
I would trust the Montreal Canadiens to win 3 games against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I think it's doable.
Yeah.
Possible. Yeah.
This year?
I do think it's going to go the distance though, a 5.
Oh, it's going to go 5.
Yeah.
See, I think don't have faith in Montreal.
I think a lot of it is going to depend on the goaltending situation for both teams, the Penguins and the Habs.
A healthy Carey Price, I think, can steal 3 games.
Probably. He could even steal a couple games against one of these top 4.
Oh yeah.
The fact that there's a possibility to be a Bruins and Habs playoff series again, that'll be so good, and that will probably reignite the rivalry that was kind of lost when the Habs went downhill a few years ago. You know.
Yeah.
But would the playoffs be done as a bracket like that would assume, or would it be done as seeding, which I think is probably more likely?
Didn't they already announce that part?
Either way, with the play-ins, well, the round robin is to determine the seeding and to determine who wins. Who plays the winners of the play-ins. So there's a possibility for the Bruins and Habs to play in the first round.
Oh yeah, it's
the round robin for that, which I might be a little biased. I doubt that the Bruins will be the last team in the round robin.
Yeah, because I think you're going to have it as the 1 seed in the round robin will face whatever the lowest winning seed of the play-ins will be. That type of seeding format, which is probably the most fair anyway.
And they've been doing.
Yeah, and it's really the only one that makes sense because I just don't think the bracket one would be fair if you're the 3 seed playing the 11 seed and the 1 seed playing the 9 seed.
Because TSN,
they don't know how to do
TSN put out a graphic, but I think they screwed up.
Oh yeah, it was before the announcement of the.
Because that's what I was basing off of. Like, I thought it was like I thought it was the winner of the Blue Jackets and Maple Leafs would play the 1 seed. I thought so. Basically, I thought the rest of the things would be like that. But now that makes more sense that it would go by seeding.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's a little disappointing, but I mean, there's still a possibility of the Bruins and Habs playing if somehow everything goes right for both teams.
Oh, it'd be insane because that at that point, the Habs have gone on a tear, and the Bruins have also had their season so far.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great series.
All right. The Carolina Hurricanes versus the New York Rangers.
Please, Rangers. I hope the Rangers win.
I feel like that's actually going to be a good series.
I do too, and I really want the Rangers to win. Probably because if the Bruins don't win the cup, I want the Rangers to win so Hank gets his cup.
Oh, yeah.
I also think the Rangers are in such a, coming out of when the season stopped, the Rangers were one of those teams where you'd watch them and you're like, they might not be the best team in the league, but they have that just the look in their eyes of we're going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, it reminded me of the 2012 LA Kings, where it was were they the best team in that league? No. Did they play like it? Yes.
And it would also be a hell of an underdog story.
Oh, yeah.
And
Go ahead, Justin.
I wasn't saying anything.
That was me. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Reagan.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say with a little deviating, but with this format, it reminds me a lot of March Madness, and the amount of upsets that could happen is incredible. I know they're not counting the play-ins as a playoff, but it's pretty much a playoff series before the regular rounds.
No matter how you cut it, it is a playoff, even if
not
going to be willing to count it.
Mm-hmm. If you lose and you get eliminated, it's a playoff.
Yeah. That's why I just can't wait just to see any upsets that happen, any surprises, heroics. It's just so exciting.
Hey, good thing for Tampa Bay. They technically can't get out in the first round this year.
Mm-hmm.
No, they still can't, because the NHL is not counting the play-ins as the first round.
Oh, that's true.
But it wouldn't be the same as losing to Columbus and getting swept.
So, as a Devils fan, I probably shouldn't even just give my opinion on this because you all know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, the Devils aren't in it.
No.
I
Ouch.
was
check on Joey. I think he just got killed.
Yeah, Joey, continue.
I mean, yikes! I don't think I can come back from that one, boys. I think I'm gonna move to Vermont and hide underground for a couple of years.
Okay.
Think about things. I don't think I can just move past that one. Yikes, got me. No, but as a Devils fan, I hope that the Rangers get chewed apart to smithereens.
Okay. All right, coming off of that, the New York Islanders versus the Florida Panthers.
Panthers, please.
I just want to see the Panthers win for once.
Yeah, I want to see the Panthers win, but who I really think is going to win is going to be the Islanders because I just don't see Panthers as a strong enough team.
I mean,
Hall of Fame Simeon Varlamov to lead the way.
I just don't know, especially goaltending wise for Florida. They've had such a it's been a bad year for Bobrovsky and everything. I just don't know if Florida has enough to beat the Islanders, who looked pretty good.
Sunk.
I mean,
they've looked consistently good this year.
Joe Quenneville made the playoffs in his first year with the Panthers.
No, not yet, technically.
Maybe.
No, not yet. Made the play.
Standpoint, no.
Basically.
Hey,
when only 6 teams don't make, or sorry, 7 teams don't make the playoffs. You better make the playoffs.
All right. The
Yeah,
probably.
I wish the Devils knew that one. I don't think they got that memo.
All right.
They were just like, we have to be an exclusive 7 teams. Oh boy, we must be the best.
You know,
Probably.
they're setting it up so they can get one of the last Hughes brother on their team.
Exactly. That's what the whole plan's been. We failed with Quinn, so we kind of had to scramble a bit.
It's got to double up with the rest of the Hughes, you know.
Yeah. Probably easily what's going to be the strongest series in this play-in, the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Columbus Blue Jackets.
The Leafs are going to win that one.
Yeah, I'd like the Leafs.
I think the Leafs will end up winning, but I think Columbus is going to give them a run for their money.
Oh yeah, they definitely will.
I think it's going to be a Game 5 kind of situation where it's like Bruins versus Leafs, except for it goes the other way.
Possibly.
And then the Bruins will play the Leafs, and
yeah.
We'll play Game 7 or Game 5, depending on how the NHL does it, and we'll have the same thing happen again because time is just a circle.
Steve Dangle will have his yearly meltdown video.
And it will get good views. It'll make some good money. Good for him.
Yeah. At this point, he wants the Leafs to lose, okay?
Okay.
His videos are
his most popular video is we lost to a Zamboni driver. He wants them to fail.
Can we talk about the Leafs lost to their own Zamboni driver?
David Ayres.
Hall of Famer.
Like, that feels like a millennium ago.
Mm-hmm. David Ayres, I mean, he's the only goaltender who has never lost a game before.
Scott Foster.
Speaking of this, what's going to happen with backup goalies or emergency backups?
I think they're going to be allowed to carry as many as they want. So
I heard that.
They are, but
they're going to be goalies that are ready to go for these teams.
Yeah, didn't they come out that they're looking into switching to a 28-man roster but unlimited goalies?
I heard it was 30 man, but yeah, something along those lines.
One team only carries like 5 skaters, and then the rest are just goalies.
Go check them.
Goalies on our team.
It's just a bunch of goalies sitting on the bench, and then like they just like start playing defense.
All right, he made a save. You're in now.
You just have like instead of defenders, you just have 3 goalies, and it's just like in like an old school like Super Mario game. You have to like continuously keep fighting the ball.
All right. Moving on to the West. The first series would be the Edmonton Oilers versus the Blackhawks. Me personally, I want the Blackhawks to win, but that's also because it's just because they're my team. Do I really think they are? I think they're going to win? I don't think so, but do they have a shot? Yes.
Here's why I think any team, to be honest, any team could beat any team in this situation because they've been out of hockey for what, 3 months, 2 months?
Yeah,
a lot of the players haven't even skated yet.
I mean, and some teams will have players to where the being out for 2 months is going to what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I can't even really think of it, but like lessen their skill, I guess.
Yeah.
And then
make them rusty.
Yeah, make them super rusty. But then for some players, the 2 months is actually going to be a good thing. Like, they needed the break, and then they're going to come in scoring like 50 goals.
And a lot of teams are going to be healthy again.
Looking at this Oilers-Blackhawks series, I'm really excited to see this because I think it's the best example of how this play-in is going to work. Is you have the Blackhawks, like both these teams are coming in, no practice. Like, this is coming in cold. You have the Blackhawks who have a core that has won 3 cups in our playoff. When they get into the playoffs, they know how to play versus an Oilers
except
team that
when they play Nashville.
Sure do.
Hey, you know what?
The Oilers once in basically since what, 2006? Like, it's going to be so interesting to see how much playoff instincts actually matter in these play-ins because I think this series will show it.
I mean, it's going to be quite the battle between, Connor McDavid and Patrick Kane,
Yeah. Well, you have players with raw talent, but then you also have players with talent and playoff experience, but are just older.
Yeah.
It's also going to depend on, because teams are going to get the training camps, and don't they get like 3 exhibition games?
Yep.
So it's also really going to depend on how easily they can regroup during the training camp and exhibition games. So you could see the Panthers come out like rolling, annihilating competition, and you have a team like the Bruins who were on fire the entire season. All of a sudden, they just can't click. It's all going to depend on how they regroup and come back together. That's why I think any team has a chance to win the cup this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whatever team wins the cup this year, there's always going to be a little bit of question there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think it's
The
for
fact
good reason.
that I don't know if they should be questioned. The fact that they didn't play for months on end, came back, had to play even more playoff games than usual, and ended up winning the cup. I think they
I think
proved
it's the
themselves.
hardest cup to win in a while.
Yeah. Well, there's
And
an
I
extra
think
round for some
don't
teams,
really-
so
We
makes
typically
sense.
put asterisks next to a lot of the Montreal Canadiens championships and a lot of those early ones when it's like, yeah, you won a championship, but there were 5 teams and you had to play 3 games in the playoffs. This is much more closer to what modern playoffs are.
Do you
Yeah.
think they should put an asterisk on this one or no? Because I don't.
If we don't put an asterisk on the Blackhawks 2013 one, this is legitimate.
Yeah. Next series.
Fair enough. You guys make a good point.
Nashville versus Arizona.
Let's go, Preds.
I like Nashville. They're my third favorite team, but like
They're my
I
second.
really want to see Arizona do something, like in the playoffs. Like I want to see them win.
Arizona do something.
I don't think Arizona's gonna win it, but it's one of those series right up there with like New York and Carolina that I'm really, really interested to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
Also,
really want to see them succeed for once.
Like Coyotes in the postseason, it's just gonna be nice to see that again because we haven't seen it since what 2012.
Probably.
Yeah.
And, like they have a good core, a young core now that should be leading them to the postseason more regularly.
It would be incredible to see Coyotes and Jets
Probably.
series.
I think
The
it'd be
two
even-
whiteout teams.
I want to save that though for when there are fans in the building because
Yeah,
the
that would be
chirps
cool.
back and forth will be fantastic.
Yeah.
Like Winnipeg's gonna have some signs if they're playing the Coyotes in a playoff series.
I still don't like the fact that they have a whiteout, but whatever. That's just me, a salty Jets fan.
All right. Vancouver versus Minnesota.
Give me
Minnesota.
Vancouver.
Yeah.
Minnesota is so lucky to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I
they
know.
are.
Like,
They're the
their
one
core
team
is not there.
where I can just rule out, like, without even thinking.
Yeah. Probably.
Minnesota 20 cup champion.
Never say
Minnesota.
that, Joey.
Consistently disappointed in the playoffs. If they were to win this one, I will be shocked.
Yeah. Me too.
Probably surprise me.
Yeah.
Like-
And then go ahead.
Like Minnesota, in our lifetime, has won like 3 playoff series. I think
Probably.
it's scary how consistently mediocre they are.
Yeah, just a bit. All right. And then the last series from the play-in, Calgary versus Winnipeg.
Oh, I love this series.
Give me Winnipeg.
Hasn't this series happened a couple times in the past before?
Yeah.
No,
No.
Yes.
they played outdoor games together, but I think that's it.
Yeah,
I'm
they
thinking
did 2
Heritage
heritage.
Classic.
I think it's basically the Calgary Flames versus Connor Hellebuck, in my opinion.
Yeah.
UMass will always be a team
Yep,
of
UMass
strength
will
and
product.
unity.
Thank
Quite
you,
frankly,
Kevin.
like Connor Hellebuck, I don't know what the actual verbiage is on the Hart Trophy. If it is like most valuable player to your team, Connor Hellebuck deserves that trophy.
Yes,
So
sir.
like we're talking if you're talking about players who like if you pull one player away from a team and the team crumbles, Connor Hellebuck's at the top of the list, at least this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, it must take a pretty good collegiate program to develop that type of player. And I honestly forgot where he played his college hockey. Can someone please remind me? I just forget.
And moving on.
And moving on.
Wow. UMass Lowell, the GOAT of Hockey East.
Mhm. Wait,
Um,
UMass Lowell? Why isn't it Amherst? I thought they were the flagship. This is
You mean
confusing.
ass Amherst?
Oh boy, no, it had to be Amherst where he played because they're the flagship, and that's
Not
what
my
I just thought
flagship.
someone told me.
Not my flagship. Okay, this
No,
isn't a college hockey podcast. Return, Justin.
all right. So we basically covered all the series. It's just now it's gonna come down to what do we think is gonna happen. I mean, we have good amount of teams here. It's just
Only
who do we
2/3
think?
of the league.
So yeah, only 2/3 leagues. It's just who do we think is going to make it through in the play-ins and possibly show up in the regular playoffs? Because if you're asking me, sure, the odds are there that more than likely one of the top four teams are going to end up winning the whole thing. But in the case that it doesn't happen, who do we think can?
I would
Tough one.
say one team. If I had to pick one team that's not in either of the top fours, as like this team's going to win the cup,
Yeah.
I would honestly.
I
would
hate
put
to say it.
the Oilers. I would say the Oilers.
Really?
I think they have enough raw talent there, where they can. Because I think it's going to come down to who has the raw talent, and I think the Oilers have just enough of it where they can really upset some teams.
Maybe.
And they still you come down the underdog too, being the Oilers because you've sucked forever.
Yeah.
I feel like though, if you can find a way to shut down that top line, and you've pretty effectively shut down the Oilers as a whole, though.
That's true.
True.
Honestly,
but, I mean, it is kind of hard though, to shut down Connor McDavid. Yeah.
Yes, not a simple task. But for me, I know this is an unpopular opinion, probably just because of their history in the playoffs. But if I look at this team, you guys are gonna hate me. I gotta go with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
There are parts of the Maple Leafs where I'm like, you know what? They could actually make some moves this year.
Yep.
But then I look at just mentally, they lost to their own Zamboni driver this same season. Like, this team is the team that lost to a person employed by the same organization. And it wasn't like it was just a last minute thing. Like, there were several periods of it. And I don't see how a team that can't put it together against their own employee is going to make enough moves to make it to the finals.
I mean, could happen.
I don't know why. I just have a gut feeling the Panthers are going to surprise a lot of people. I don't know why.
See,
I just think if Bobrovsky proves he could play the way he played last season, or in the playoffs, I mean,
it does come down to Bobrovsky.
I think if he shows up, they're gonna surprise a lot of people.
Probably.
I think Barkov is a great player. Huberdeau can be a great player. I think Ekblad
Barkov's one of the most underrated players in the league.
I love Yandel. Not only that, they have players like Nola Chari who fly under the radar a lot of the times when people look at great, just all-around players in forward. Nola Chari, great player.
Trocheck's pretty good.
Yeah.
I just think the Panthers are going to surprise a lot of people if Bobrovsky is on his game. So, I guess that would be my pick for a surprise.
I mean, yeah, if Bobrovsky can go back to his Columbus days, then that's automatically like a dark horse, because if he can go back to like where he was with Columbus, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's the New York Rangers.
How dare you?
Sorry, but
I can see that.
The run that they had gone on, which I was like, it's kind of a fluky run, but they maintained their streak for about a month, which is hard to do, obviously, in the NHL. They seemed so well set up and poised to be hot at the correct time that obviously with COVID, maybe not anymore, but they were a team that just got really good, really fast. And if they can keep that hot streak, they have a real chance of making it pretty far, I think.
Possibly. Me personally, I think if there is someone that can come out and surprise us all when it comes down to the play-ins, I'm thinking it could possibly be either Nashville or Carolina.
I don't know if Nashville has the team this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nashville window is closing.
I really think they blew their shot.
That's gonna burn me when they win the cup this year.
Yeah.
But I think their window was that like 2017, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And they were designed to win then, and now they're just kind of in this. How do we refresh
no more Subban?
Yeah.
Rene is not the Rene that was in 2016.
Saros is good. He's just not Pecorino.
He's not there. He's just not there yet.
Yeah.
Saros will be great. He's not there yet.
Yeah, he's too young, and he's not Pecorino. Like, he's a fantastic young goaltender, and he's going to be instrumental in their whatever future they have. But it's not Rene.
I think bottom line, Nashville this year is basically the definition of mediocrity, to where it's just they have the ability to beat just about anyone, but in a playoff system that they're not consistent enough to do just that.
Yeah.
And then I'm just gonna basically try to end it off there on now let's bring in the top fours, the round robin players. Who do we think could possibly be the winners out of everybody? Well, basically everybody.
Bruins. I'm not even say that because of I'm a Boston fan. I just think the Bruins are the best team in the entire NHL this year.
Like the Bruins,
very rare.
Yeah,
you'll hear me say something like this, but I think the Bruins. I like the Bruins. I don't like the Bruins. I just think that like they this is their year to win if they're gonna win.
I think it's with the Bruins too. It's almost the core is almost exactly the same as who lost in the Cup Finals in a Game 7 last year in embarrassing fashion.
Mm-hmm. And they've to a team who they lost and
just incredibly well this entire season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they lost to a team that was in last place in January and had an AHL backup as their starter. People tend to forget that.
Go away, and I don't think they will.
Hey, Devil. Hey, Joey. Where are the Devils in this 2014 playoff?
Buddy.
Where are they?
We're in something called a lottery. You can win money from lotteries. Like they don't when you win, they don't call the lottery. Like
remember when you won the lottery
it's not
last season?
Sure did.
Yeah.
Number 20.
We won. What did you guys win?
No, we won the Eastern Conference.
We also won the President's Trophy this year.
Yeah.
Did we win the lot? If we went, just saying, we won the lottery last year. We got Jack Hughes. He's a future star. Nico Hischier is insane. Our prospect system is overwhelming with talent. We traded all. We have like 3 first-round picks this year. Like, we're in a good position.
Shout out to Nico Hischier for showing up at a Quinnipiac versus Maine hockey game this year. Like that, just randomly.
Honestly, that sounds like the most Nico Hischier thing like I've heard.
Well, it's because we figured out later. It's because Jesper Bratt knows one of our players, William Falstrom, and so they came to watch and just Nico tagged along. But I get a text from our video guy, just like it's a selfie of him and Nico Hischier, and he's a huge Devils guy, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me."
Yeah. No. One thing I won't talk too much about the Devils because they're in this little thing called the lottery. But like they're setting themselves up right now the right way. Like they have a ton of draft picks, a ton of high draft picks, a ton of good prospects. They got that like 6'7" defenseman for Taylor Hall. They have Ty Smith, who's probably going to be playing next year. They got a lot of good prospects at the deadline. They still have a lot of young talent in Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Pavel Zacha, Nikita Gusev. The list just goes on. They have their established starting goaltender in Mackenzie Blackwood. Like, they're in a good position right now.
I'll also say they sold Taylor Hall at the exact perfect time this season.
Exactly.
Like that was a pretty impressive trade for me.
And they have a ton of cap room. Like they have a lot of team-friendly deals. Like, they're in a very good position right now.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm totally happy with the way they're going. Hire Gerard Gallant. That's all I have to say.
Hire Gerard Gallant. There it is. I mean, I was honestly surprised. I'm honestly still kind of surprised that Vegas let Gallant go.
I know, exactly. So
Yeah.
this is like why we need to like jump on that.
That
But-
was incredibly dumb by them.
But then they hired the former Sharks coach. Already forgot his name, honestly. And here we are. They're now
Peter DeBoer.
third. DeBoer, that's what it was. But now they're
When-
third in the conference.
Yeah, former Devils guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I almost said bring him back. Like once the Sharks fired him, but like
It's like,
Vegas
I
took.
don't know if it's just because I know hockey more, or if it's like a sports thing in general. But hockey just seems to be a sport where it's the same like 5 guys that get, if a coach gets fired, it's like the same 5 people just cycle around basically.
Yeah,
It's like him, Pete DeBoer, Todd McClellan, Gerard Gallant. Like they all just, Alain Vigneault was that for a while, where they just like they get
Tortorella.
fired. Yeah, they'll get fired from one place, go to another place, get
Laviolette.
fired there, and go to another place. Like they never have to take like a lower role.
Yeah.
Hey Joey, I just pulled Scott Wilson in a pack and hut.
But that's smart, Scott
Isn't
Wilson.
that awesome?
Former UMass Lowell Riverhawk, because I'm sure not too many people even know who he is. Won the Cup with the Penguins in 2017, I believe.
And we have his bobblehead.
Sure do.
Speaking of Jesper Fast, I also pulled him. Wow.
I said Jesper Bratt, not Jesper Frost.
No, I'm talking. Didn't Alex say something about Jesper Fast?
No, it was Brott.
Oh, I didn't even hear him. Sorry. My
But-
bad.
But yeah, the Devils right now, like they're doing the right thing and they're in a great position. Like honestly, I'm pretty happy with where they are right now.
Yeah.
And they
All right,
were
let's go.
played a lot better without Hall. That's the last thing I'll say because I know they're a lottery team and not like the topic of discussion.
Yeah, no.
All right. Back
All
to Justin.
Yeah. So basically that's covered everything. That was a good hour and a half recording. Got a lot there. That's just gonna go straight to YouTube. Basically, there's our thoughts of the news we heard last night with the Henderson Silver Knights, our thoughts on the hub cities that are possibly going to happen, and our thoughts on our new NHL playoffs format. Overall, when it comes down to it, I think all of us came to an agreement that we think that this is going to be a Bruins year, which I'm sure,
Yay.
which makes Kevin and Alex stoked.
However,
Fingers
watch
crossed.
out for the Colorado Avalanche.
Oh yeah.
Oh
They
no, I
are-
thought you were about to say, however, watch out for the New Jersey Devils at the lottery.
Watch out for the Minnesota Wild, boy.
If the Minnesota Wild win the Stanley Cup this year, I will upload goal horns.
Oh, you heard it here first, folks. I'm gonna go
You-
tweet that actually.
Suddenly, just like half the nation becomes Wild fans, and like Gary Bettman rigs the league to have the Wild.
That kind of-
If Minnesota plays Colorado first round, the Wild are advancing. It's just how it works. So
Yeah, but I don't think they can win the cup.
not until you said that. You just jinxed it. Wild 2020 champs first.
I'm gonna have that tweeted.
Did I just screw myself? Probably.
They'll have you on one of like whatever they use for like the parade. Like if there is a parade, like how Boston has duck boats, like they'll have you on one of those.
They're
There
going to
you-
give you
There you go, Alex. I just tweeted it.
Oh god. Oh no.
If the
I made a
Minnesota Wild win the Stanley Cup, I'll make goal horns again, Alex.
Also, just an update on everything. University of Alabama Huntsville hockey has reached their goal at $519,000 raised.
Dang.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. Good for them, honestly.
Oh, wow, that's really creepy. The first person when I go to the comment section of the GoFundMe is someone who's a Quinnipiac alum who I recognize the name of. That's
Oh.
weird.
Well,
Well, that'll do it all for our podcast today. I want to thank Kevin, Joey, Reagan, and Alex for
Very
coming.
welcome.
It was quite the grand old time, and especially our lovely conversations prior to starting the recording. And I'm sure some of them are probably still going to happen after the recording, so that's going to be fun. But basically, that's just going to be it for the podcast recording. I appreciate all you guys tuning in and watching the whole video, even though it might be quite a disappointment, honestly. But oh well. We're sorry that you stuck around for an hour and a half of us, but hey, you did that to yourself as well. So I appreciate you guys tuning in and watching.
You literally, you were just.
Whoops. Joey got cut off again by his push to talk.
You literally just said thank you to everyone for tuning in. However, if you just watch this, you have zero life whatsoever.
That audience.
They should be used to me disappointing them, though.
That's true.
This isn't the first
time. Thank you guys for tuning in. I love you all, and I'll see you guys in the next podcast recording. Just make sure to be on an eye out for the description. Again, if you want to join the Discord server for the podcast, the link is down below, and I'll get you going onto a podcast and be a guest with me. All right? Cool. Thank you guys. Love you all, and I'll see you guys next time. And stop recording because